In 1979, we got the film The Driller Killer, which we have another one of those in Slumber Party Massacre. He does have an actual name, but we just call him the Driller Killer. Same with Slumber Party Massacre 2. This is a movie, as well as the Toolbox Murders. They're put in the slasher category, and I can see it. But to me, especially like this is before the slasher craze of the 80s, before Friday the 13th and everything, I feel like they're more derivative of Texas Chainsaw. Just because of the power tools used in both of them, and especially here with the drill. We have the guy Reno, who is played by the director, Abel Ferrara, who actually credited himself under a different name as the actor. So I don't know why he did that. Like, was he unhappy with his performance? Or, I mean, I remember him doing a pretty good job in this. But I think it's interesting that he used a pseudonym for his acting role in this, but kept his name attached as director. So, quick plot synopsis if you have never seen The Driller Killer from '79. We have this guy Reno, and he lives with, his girlfriend and another girl. Like, it's two girls he lives with. And he's a struggling artist in Manhattan, New York City, and he ends up snapping due to stress and all parts of his life, his job, his home life, where he lives with the two women. Everything's driving this guy nuts, and he ends up, like most people would, taking to the streets with a power drill and murdering a bunch of homeless people, right? I'm pretty sure most of the victims are homeless people in this, but that's the whole plot. Like, guy snaps and starts killing people with a power drill. That's basically all you need to know. But spoilers from here on out. So let's watch and talk The Driller Killer from 1979. Now, one interesting side note with this movie, as well as the Toolbox Murders, if I remember correctly, both of them were on the BBC's Video Nasties list from the 80s. I don't think it's that graphic compared to movies that also were on the list, like some Fulci stuff and Cannibal Holocaust and Absurd, Joe D'Amato. Like, all of those movies I could see why people having a panic over. But I don't remember this being too graphic, but just thought it was an interesting fact that this was also one of the many films in the stupid censorship by the British government. This movie has a great score, too. And I love this is like Maniac for me, with, being a New Yorker my whole life. Not seeing it in the late 70s, early 80s, I was born in 88, but I've seen how Manhattan was cleaned up over the decades. And just seeing these old movies like Maniac and this one, among others, that take place in Manhattan, and just seeing how just grimy and run down it looks, and it fits for these type of movies like very, very well. So we have the opening, and like I said, the fantastic score playing here. Great lighting in this church that Reno and his girlfriend Carol go into, and we see this old bearded man praying in a pew. And Reno goes up to him, and he recognizes him. It's his father, right? Because he calls him son. Like, I'm pretty sure that's his real father, because then they say that he's been estranged, never knew his father, and Carol's asking him who it was, and he's pretending he doesn't know. Just some bum, some vagrant, some derelict, like, doesn't matter, and he's trying to avoid all the questioning. There's some good music in this movie, too. Not just the score, but, like, there's a lot of, like, punk rock band music that plays throughout it. I've never been a big punk fan, but, like, it works for the movie. Now, I've always loved this type of horror. Like, monsters and witches and vampires and stuff, that's all well and good. But it's always been scarier for me when it's a human being who's just snaps or loses their mind, or they have no control over themselves. This is more of a character study, just like Maniac, into this guy's mind and what makes him finally snap. And this happens. This happens all the time. People get fed up with the stress in their life and stuff, and they go out and start murdering people. Like, it's sad, but it's realistic. Like, sure, I mean, the events that happen in this movie, like, are far-fetched, some of them, and would never happen in real life. But this premise, I mean, it hits close to home, like, with reality. Like, this is within the realm of possibilities of what could happen if just the wrong person just has a bad day, a bad life, and then just snaps and goes on a killing spree. I don't know why this is so funny to me, but the three of them live together. Reno, his girlfriend Carol, and like, I don't know if it's a former lover of his, but like she's a lesbian and she's a drug addict. I know that. The three of them are sitting in the apartment, and we see his paintings and stuff. He's a struggling artist. His paintings don't look that bad. Like, to me, he seems like he has some talent. Regardless, one of the girls starts reading the newspaper and reads this story about this woman that was giving her dog a bath, and she was going to be late for something, so she put the dog in a microwave, and the dog exploded, and she had a heart attack and died. I don't know why that's so hysterical to me. But then we see him start to get really stressed with his girlfriend and roommates here, that they get a bill for the phone and electricity and stuff that's like $500. And he's trying to rationalize it. He's looking through it. He says, we got a TV, some lights, like nothing crazy. He thinks it's the bill for Madison Square Garden. And then he starts reading the phone bill. And he starts, and this made me laugh, because remember when long distance calls was a thing? No, you never worry about that anymore. But he's saying, like, California, like, this one's in Pennsylvania. And she said, they're both chiming in, saying, like, it's my sister, my brother, and like stuff like that. But remember when those were a thing? When's the last time you made a long distance phone call and had to pay for it? I love when one of the girls says to him that they're going to shut the phone off tomorrow. And then he just snaps and picks the phone up and chucks it out the window. That's great. Yeah, you can't disconnect it if it ain't working. That's what it is. He lives with Carol, who's his girlfriend, and the other one, Pamela, the drug addict lesbian, is Carol's lesbian lover. That's squared away. So then Reno goes to this art gallery owner, Dalton, that he, I guess, occasionally sells paintings to, and he's even late on that. Getting his painting done for this guy, and he's asking him for a favor to lend him $500 so that he can, settle things with his landlord, get all his debts paid up, and he'll have it for him in a week. And some of the responses from Dalton, the art gallery owner, they're darkly hysterical. 2 months ago, I lent you money for your girlfriend's abortion. Then 3 weeks later, you needed more money for materials. It's always something with you. So he tells him no. He won't front him the money. Then this band moves into the apartment called the Roosters. And again, the music they play is not bad or anything, but he starts trying to work on his painting, and it's like late at night, early in the morning, 1, 2, 3, whatever. And he starts hearing them playing their music, and he just starts losing it, man. And all right, let me say this. I've been saying on like all these things piling up and stuff. Of course, it does not give him the right to go out and drilling a bunch of people and killing them. To quote a great comedian, I'm not saying he should have killed him, but I understand. Oh, the landlord is showing the Roosters to their apartment earlier, and he says it's $500 a month. First of all, I feel like that's mad people to be living in an apartment for $500. You wouldn't increase the rates, whatever. But the guy asks the landlord, is there a toilet in there? Is there a bathroom? Type of stupid question is that? Apartments, houses, and stuff, these all must be inspected and everything before they're even put together. You can't have an apartment without a bathroom. So, I mean, what type of question is that? Come on. Yeah, it's settled. At least for me. Reno's got some talent, man, because he's painting a picture of a buffalo. And that is a gorgeous buffalo painting. I gotta say, I hand it to him. He does have some artistic talent. You know who he reminds me of a little bit, Reno? Devotees will know what this means. Forehead from the movie The Prowler. There's a character, the sheriff in there. I feel like his forehead is just like his whole face. So I called him Forehead in that video. It looks like him. It's not. But I don't know, certain shots like make me think of him. And I was trying to think, what does he look like that I'm getting these vibes from? Forehead. When you really think about it, this guy snaps and goes on a killing spree because he couldn't get $500 to cover his rent. I mean, even he says earlier when he meets with the art gallery guy, he says to him and says it's $500. It's not a lot of money or something like that. This is back in '79. I mean, $500 was a decent big amount of money. So he just said that it's not a lot of money, but it's worth him losing his mind and killing a bunch of people over it. But let's be honest, these people have been living a terrible life for a long while before the events of this movie. There's some cool visual imagery in this movie, too. Like a few shots of Reno, mostly, like when we see him covered in blood, like the hallucination, I guess, that he sees. And there's a shot later on that it's just him staring into the camera. It looks like he's staring into your soul, man. Like, I really like his performance in this. I don't know what the consensus is, like, among our fans who see this movie, what they think of his acting. I think he did a great job here. Now, when he goes out, at whatever time it was when the band's playing and it's driving him nuts, he goes outside and walks the streets. And he finds this homeless dude. And he goes up to him and he starts, like, rapping at him. And he's asking him, like, what's your story? Did your wife fuck the landlord? And then he snaps back into consciousness. And he's saying, like, I need a dime. And then a bunch of people start chasing another homeless guy. And then Reno just, like, lets the guy go. So is this trying to show that he's having these urges to hurt someone? And this is him, like, trying to fight it? Whatever he might have been thinking of doing to this guy, seeing those people chase down the street after this other guy, something changed right there for him to make him just let him go and to go back to his apartment. So I think that's what they're implying, that he's trying to fight these urges that he's having. Let me know if anybody has any other theories on that. So you know that time in everyone's life when their landlord gives them a skinned rabbit to eat and just has it chilling in their closet? Because that's what happens here, and it's absolutely insane. I'm starting to think the landlord dude might be the actual psychotic one. He just has a skinned rabbit chilling in his closet and just offers it. Like, who wants to eat skinned rabbit? Who wants to eat rabbit? And this guy thinks it's normal? I don't know about all of that scene. Funny thing is, though, he takes the rabbit with him. And this guy just happens to know exactly how to prepare a rabbit to be eaten. I've been a city guy most of my life. I could never tell you where to begin in prepping a rabbit to be eaten safely. But I can tell you a whole bunch of shady locations if that's your thing. That's the city thing. Skinning rabbits, that's for you country folk. Aforementioned rabbit does look cool, though. Like, what they use for it. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was an actual rabbit. I mean, I didn't look into it, but look at there was a lot of, more so in Italy, animal cruelty and stuff in horror films. So I don't know. I would guess it's a prop, but you never know. Maybe they use an actual rabbit. But then he gets pissed. He starts stabbing it in the head a few times. Like, all of that stuff, it's great. And I mean a lot of times he stabs this rabbit. So never mind. He's the psychotic one. I like how he starts losing his grip on reality more and more, and that he's touching his buffalo paintings, talking to it, saying, like, I won't hurt you, don't worry. Like, he does a good job of portraying a descent into complete madness, even though it does kind of have similar vibes to a criticism The Shining gets all the time for Nicholson's portrayal of Jack Torrance, that he seems crazy from the beginning. He seems a little nuts from the beginning, too. But it's not a knock on the movie or anything. I mean, like I said, he's probably been living not the best life for a very long while. They mention that he never knew his father. Who knows? I don't think we see his mother, so he's had nobody. He lives with two drug-addicted women. Who knows what he does himself? So, I mean, all of these play into factors that push him over the edge. This scene is great. It's shot very, very well. It's like a hallucination sequence that they stop playing music and he finally has some quiet. Then he starts hearing voices and his girlfriend Carol's calling out to him. He sees a man in a bunny suit for some reason. Like, I swear that's what it is. It's a guy with a bunny suit, or it's a bunny. For some reason, I don't think that's ever explained. Speaking of The Shining just a bit ago, kind of just like your blowjob bear thing. But the imagery here is great too, with just the way that it's certain angles that it's shooting to make it look more crazy, to make it look like he's really starting to lose it. Then we see the bunny guy, and then he sees Carol, who has her eyes gouged out. And good effects, like nothing bad. And then he finally snaps and goes out to commit his first murder. So he goes to this rundown crack house or something like that, someplace abandoned, and he finds this homeless guy sleeping there, and he brutally murders him with the drill. And this is gorier than I remember it being. I haven't seen this movie in a few years, maybe. Like, that was more gore than I remembered from it. Like, he gets drilled into the chest, there's a lot of blood coming out and stuff, which blood is not really gore. I guess it's more bloody, but I didn't remember it going that far. I do remember the one cool kill that comes later. Now, the pacing does slow down a bit here for me. The whole nightclub scene, they go to see the head of the Roosters, the band that moved in that he's getting driven crazy by. They go to see them at a nightclub, and there's just some throwaway dialogue. Some of it's funny, but the pacing definitely dips a bit here before we go into, like, all the killing. So Reno goes out on his killing spree, and he runs into this homeless dude, which, they're all homeless people he kills, which I don't know, like, what he has against homeless people. Like, why did he just, like, kill the people he's pissed at? Like, the band. Like, all the band. So that's driving him nuts. His landlord. Like, he goes after, like, innocent homeless people that are just trying to survive. But we get a kill. He goes to the homeless guy. He sees this guy with the drill in his hand. He asks him, "What's in your hand?" He just shows and revs the drill in his face. And then he just says, "Oh, a drill. What are you, a repair guy or something?" Well, come on, man. Like, take one look at this guy's face. You can tell he's going to murder you. And he thinks that he's just a repairman, like, out late at night like this with a drill. Reno just gets sick of hearing this guy talk. And he just drills him in the chest. Again, looks alright. It's not a great kill or anything like that. Then the next kill is better than the last one at a bus stop. And one of the guys here, he looks a lot like Tom Savini. Like, he really does, even though I know it's not Tom Savini, unless he did something, this small role in this uncredited, but I highly doubt it. But for the first few seconds, I'm looking at him, I'm like, this really looks like Savini, but it's not. And he just appears behind this train station, this train stop booth, and drills into this guy's back, and then, like, pulls it all the way down as his body's going down. Like, it's not great, like, gore-wise or anything, but the brutality of it is very good. This guy really is selling the fact that he's drilling into this guy's back, and the guy getting drilled, he's really selling how painful it must be. Always nice to see the lights on the Empire State Building on. Like, he's completely lost it. It's not like he's trying to cover the fact of his murders or anything, because he just goes up to two homeless people that are chilling together and kills one of them, and the other one's freaking out, like, what the hell did you do to Johnny? His name's not Johnny, but whatever. Starts saying, what did you do to him? And then he starts getting chased around, he gets killed. So this guy's just going willy-nilly. There's not a cop in sight. Like, nobody's seeing these killings at all. I don't know. Yeah, this is the best scene in the movie, without a doubt. He goes up to this bum that's sleeping in, like, a pile of trash, and he just goes up to him and drills him right here in his forehead, and you see it go in, you see the blood spurting out, and you see this guy getting drilled in the head for a good 10 seconds. Like, maybe a little longer, 15 seconds. Like, it really lingers on this, and it looks fantastic. The sound design is great in this movie. Like, I've never listened to it with headphones before, like I am now. All the sounds with the drill, it sounds fantastic. And then they do this really cool effect with the drill sound, where it goes like, not exactly that, but it's like an echo, kind of, or a manipulation on the drill sound. It's really good. And then he just goes home and calls it a night, I guess. So then Tony, the leader of the band, the Roosters, comes over to Reno's apartment, and he likes his artwork. See? Told you the guy's got talent. He wants him to paint a masterpiece for him. A portrait of him playing guitar and stuff. And he says that he'll give him $500 for it. So that's how he's going to get his $500. But isn't he also almost done with the Buffalo? I mean, of course he's not in the work state of mind anymore. But doesn't he still have to finish that Buffalo piece to get $500 from the other guy, the art gallery dude? So he's got two deals going on right now. But again, I don't think he's thinking logically about any of this. I like how, not really a callback, but earlier in the movie, when I said about the dog story, how she's reading the paper, she's reading the paper again here and starts reading about a homeless guy who was found dead and probably by a power tool or a drill. I like how they throw that in there, and then it causes him to snap on her. And he starts seeing images again, like hallucinations, blood, and all that is excellently done. And then he just starts snapping on her, like screaming, "What are you trying to do to me?" And she's freaked the hell out. She doesn't know what the hell's going on with him. Runs the hell out of there. Just thought it was interesting that, like I said earlier, driller killer in this movie, driller killer in Slumber Party Massacres. Slumber Party Massacre, the original, they have that famous pizza scene, and they're eating pizza here. So I just thought it was funny that we have pizza eating scene in two movies with a driller killer. He ends up going back out, and we see this guy in an alley, and Reno appears, and he drills his hand into the wall, then drills his other hand into the wall, so he's pinned against the wall. Then he just starts drilling him in the chest and stuff till he dies. You don't see much, but just the idea of it, and having both hands drilled to a wall, and there's the alley in between him, so he's blocking an alley. It looks really good. The art gallery guy comes by, and he hates the buffalo painting. This guy gives him so much shit over this. He's saying, that bad thing that happens to artists, they lose their creativity, it's happening to you. This guy really hates his buffalo. Like I said, I really like it. But because of all this, Carol leaves him and goes back to her ex-husband or something like that. So he's losing everything here, but he already committed a bunch of murders, so it's not like this is pushing him much over the edge, is it? I like that they show him really totally beyond reality, that he thinks he hears the phone ring, and he picks it up, and he starts talking to Carol, even though no one's on the line. It's just saying, please hang up and try again. And he's having a full-on conversation. So then he calls up the art gallery guy, Dalton, and says, "Listen, I got another painting to show you." And he's luring him in to kill him, which he does. Dalton's kill's not that great. He just comes over the house, got lured in there like an idiot, and then he just revs the drill up a few times, and then he just puts it into his chest, and then it just black screen, and we hear the drill and his screams. I don't know, that one, if of all the people that he's killed, this is the guy that's wronged him, not the homeless people. So I feel like this guy should have got a brutal death. But nope, it just cut away, basically. So Pamela, the roommate who's the lesbian drug addict, she ends up coming back and she sees Dalton's body. She freaks out. She tries to run back to the roosters upstairs, and she don't get there. Reno just grabs her, and then that's the last we see of her. So I don't know what happened. I'm assuming he killed her, but we don't get to see any of it. And yeah, this movie has a pretty ambiguous ending. We just have him go over to Carol's house, who left him for her husband or ex-husband, and he ends up showing up, drilling him in the back. That looks pretty good. Then he gets into bed and puts the covers over his head, which scenes like this and kills like this always bother me. It's when your significant other or somebody that you're expecting to be there is in a bed with you. Once you lay down in the bed with them, I don't know how people make that mistake. They get in bed and think it's somebody else. And then she starts saying, "Stephen, come here. Stephen, come closer." Then it just ends and the credits roll. So, assumably, he kills her. But it's a great movie. It's a great character study. It's a great film about a guy losing his mind and just totally snapping. But I feel like the latter half of the movie, after the multiple killings in the row of the homeless people, I feel like the pace slows down a little bit, but nothing bad or anything. This is a great film. So The Driller Killer, 1979. All right, guys, I will talk to you guys soon. Have something else up. Take care.